welcome to the show. I'm Denise and I'm going to be making Grandma's beef stew today in a pressure cooker. So I'm going to teach you how to use the pressure cooker safely. It's not like Grandma's pressure cooker back in the day, you'll see. First thing you want to do is put your hair up, because you don't want hair in the food. And because you're touching your hair after you put your hair up, you're going to want to wash your hands. You definitely don't want, to get anyone sick, get hair in the food, so let's wash our hands. So here's your pressure cooker of today. You have the bottom pot, a rubber seal, and the top. Now most of the safety precautions are right here, these two pieces. First thing you want to do is take the rubber seal, place it inside. Now, after we put the food inside, you're going to take the top. The top has a line here, and you're going to match it up with the line on the handle. So you put the top on, and you move it to the side. Now it's closed, but it's still not locked. On the top of the pressure cooker, you have this little dial. This is for letting the steam out. This is for locking it. So you're going to want to lock it here, and then you're going to want to, you see the little symbols here? It tells you slide this up to fully lock. Now it's locked and you can't get it open. So way back in the day when Grandma made beef stew, she would start with something like this. Grandma had arms like Popeye, let me tell you right now. Because to pick this up, just like this, is really taxing on your arms. But figure this was stuck in the fire. And she used to have to use a hook to pull it out, and then use the hook to take the top off, which, by the way, you can kill someone with this. And then you used to fill it with everything you're going to put in, and then put this back in. And like 6 times during the entire day, because it took all day to cook, you would have to keep pulling it out and check it. To heck with that. Technology took over. And guess what? Now, technology invented the crock pot, or all-day cooker, as some people call it. It let Grandma lose the chains. She wasn't chained to the kitchen anymore. So you would put everything in, close it, plug it in, turn it on, walk away. You could do the laundry, the dishes, feed the kids, wash the floor, whatever you wanted to do. But you really shouldn't leave it all day by itself, plugged in. They say they're safe. Some people say not. So then, technology came again, and we got what? The new pressure cooker that I showed you how to open and lock. Well, back in the day, Grandma's pressure cooker, if you locked it, after it hissing for so long and everything, somehow it could open. And Grandma had beef stew on the ceiling, macaroni sauce all over the kitchen. Some people did get seriously burned. So that's why a lot of people got afraid of pressure cookers. But now we're bringing them back because it's the quickest way to make anything. So, now you're ready to prep. The first thing you want to do is get all your vegetables together, and then after you do the vegetables, then you cut the meat. The reason for this is to avoid cross-contamination. You don't want to keep washing the board in between. You want to make sure that there's no meat particles left on it that gets into the vegetables. So, now that our hands are washed, our hair is up, everything's all set up, we'll start with the celery. Now what you're going to want to do, you're going to want to cut the celery into biteable pieces. Now when I say biteable, your bite is probably different from mine. I have a big mouth, so my bite probably a little bigger than yours. But if you cut it smaller than this, it's going to disintegrate when it cooks. So you're going to want bite-sized chunks. Whatever your bite is, just don't make it mouse size, because if you make it mouse size, it's, like I said, going to disintegrate. If you don't like to taste celery, you might want to make it smaller pieces. That's up to you. And I don't like to put a ton of vegetables because it is Grandma's recipe. And let's face it, back then, Grandma couldn't run down to the corner store and buy fresh produce 24/7, 365 days of the year. So we're kind of going on Grandma's recipe here, so let's do that. Now I've gone ahead and shredded some of the outside of the carrot, but you have to make sure you peel all of the filthy, disgusting dirt on the outside of the carrot. Now, some people will say, oh, all the vitamins. Look, I'm cooking a stew, I'm not cooking vitamin stew. So I want all the dirt out, thanks anyway. So now the smaller pieces, you're going to want to cut into bite-sized chunks. and you're gonna wanna use them. But the bigger pieces, you're gonna have to cut in half. Because you want it all conform, you know? You want it to be about the same all the way. So, here we go. It really helps to have a sharp knife. If you don't have a sharp knife, you might lose a finger. You don't want fingers in your stew. I mean, unless you're making, no, that's kind of gross. Let's not do that. Okay, so we're just gonna have 2 carrots, 2 stalks of celery. Now that's off to the side for later, for putting it all together. I've already washed everything, obviously. I'm so stuck on getting everything clean that you know I already washed these. And no, you don't use soap. I actually had someone ask me, do you use soap when you wash vegetables? No, sorry. I don't know who thought of that, but no, you don't do that. That would be disgusting. You'd get diarrhea. Who wants that? I'm not cooking for diarrhea things anyway. Okay, seeds out of the way. I hate eating seeds in my stew. And yes, it may sound a little strange to put peppers in your stew, but it sweetens it. And don't use green peppers. They make it a little more bitter. So you're better off using yellow, red, orange, whatever you like to use. I like to use the whole pepper. Well, 1 whole pepper. You can put less if you're not a big fan, or leave it out. Totally omit it. I'm not telling you what to do. Cooking is an adventure, okay? So let's have fun with the adventure. Okay, so we're just about done with the peppers. And now we're gonna move on to the onion. Okay, whether someone is a trained chef or not, I don't care. I'm doing the onion the way everybody at home does the onion, okay? Except for keeping my finger tucked. Your thumb should always be tucked out of the way, because take it from me, you can cut a piece off. And like I said before, we don't want fingers still. So, there you go. Your onion is cut. Let's get rid of all the garbage here. I have a little bag over here. You know when you go grocery shopping, you never know what to do with those plastic bags? I use them as little garbage bags. Line stuff with them. You know, pails. You could use it, there are myriad of uses. But for right now, we're using it to get rid of all this. See, I'm not rich, I don't have one of those little stands. Okay, so, you don't want to go crazy chopping the onion up, because you want it to dissipate in there, but you also want it to be, you know, a piece in your mouth later. So, I use the whole onion, because I prefer a lot of onion. Some people don't like a lot of onion, use a smaller one. And the key here is sweet Vidalia onions. I only use Vidalia because they're less in, skin. They're less in acid. And my husband has stomach issues, so let's keep the acid to a minimum. 1 clove of garlic. Just peel it, toss the garbage. Okay. Now you see what I did? You don't put it like this, you angle it down. See, there it is. And then I take the middle out because I don't like the middle of the garlic. And just mince it up. And then we're going to throw this in with the onion. It doesn't really have to go everywhere. It's mainly the oils in the garlic that will come out and season the meat. Alrighty, now we have everything broken down except the meat. Now, when you make beef stew, most people make beef stew with beef stew chunks. I have done that. I do that a lot. But you could also make it with London broil, and you cut it up. Me, I like to use rump roast. Rump roast has a lot of flavor, and it's really the part of the animal that you want to cook for a long time. In my head, if it goes over the fence last, you cook it a long time. Okay, so here's a nice 2-pound chunk. And what I like to do is get all the fat, the silver skin and the fat off the outside. Just cut it, because it doesn't break down that well, no matter how you cook it. And it's going to be like bubble gum in the middle of your beef stew, which, to tell you the truth, is not really fun. I don't enjoy chewing all day when I'm eating. So you just trim it off and put it off to the side. There you go. You really should be using a boning knife for this, but for those of you who don't have them, as you can see, any knife will work. I don't care if I cut a little of the meat off. I don't want that in my stew. That's disgusting. Now you turn it around, it always has the super thick, fatty side. You want to get rid of that because we're trying to be a little healthier here. Back in the day, Grandma would take the beef stew chunks and she would put lard or bacon grease at the bottom of that kettle pan, and she would heat it up really hot, and then you'd sear the outside of all the meat to suck in the juices. Well, because we're using a different method of cooking, we don't have to do that anymore. You actually, because of this cut of meat, you don't even have to add beef bouillon to it. Okay, now we're going to cut into chunks. And when, like I said before, when I say bite size, whatever your bite is, cut it to that. Big mouth, big pieces, whatever. So, I've got it into almost even pieces here, so it makes it a lot easier to cut it into almost even pieces. Now let's face it, the cow doesn't grow in a square, so you're not going to have a perfect piece all the time, so don't expect to. Just cut it roughly about this big. This is how big the cubes are when you get them in the store, roughly. And when it breaks down in the pot, it's going to really get soft and fall apart, so it doesn't really matter. And you see, I did leave some of the fat in there. You don't get rid of everything. You'd have no meat left. So, let's just get this into chunks, and then we're going to assemble the whole thing, and I'm going to show you how to close the pressure cooker. And as it starts, it's going to start hissing. We're going to let it go to that point just so you can hear what it sounds like when it starts. It's going to be about 5 minutes, maybe. Yeah, about 5 minutes it takes for it to start hissing. And the water that you're going to add is going to be lukewarm. I've even used ice cold water. It just takes a little longer. If you use the lukewarm, if you want it to go really fast, you can put boiling hot water in your pan. Let it sit there while you're cutting everything up. Pour it out. When you put everything in, put warm water in there, and it'll actually come to a hiss a little quicker. Not a lot. So, I mean, I don't have the patience. If it's not going to be that much faster, I don't have the patience to do extra steps. So we're going to throw this away. And you see it's just a bowl. And you put all your meat back in the bowl. And then I would suggest washing your cutting board as soon as possible, because you don't want to keep any of that bacteria growing on your cutting board. I mean, granted, I know there's cutting boards that stop bacteria, but why would you eat it? I wouldn't. So, there we go. Now we're going to go and wash this. We're going to bring the pressure cooker back. I'm going to show you how to assemble everything. Now we're ready to put everything together. When you first start, the first thing I always tell people to do is to use non-stick spray. I have healthy non-stick spray. And coat the inside of the pan. You're going to want to spray it around and on the sides, and that's it. You do not want to spray the top. The top does not get sprayed. Please remember that. No spray on the top of the pot. There we go. That's out of the way. So now the next thing you want to do is onions. Onions should always be at the bottom in the base, okay? So you put the onions down first. I use half of them, because you're going to seal it with onion too. Oh yeah, onion everywhere. Now the meat goes in. And the meat, make sure that it's almost a layer. You want it to be more of a layer. There we go. Okay, so that's done. Now you're going to put the carrots. And now you're going to put the celery. Where's my pepper? There it is. And the peppers. All right. Now that all of them are in there, now you seal it with onions. Put the onion on top again with the garlic, you know it's in there. And it's just going to add that extra flavor. And it all seeps down. And the onions on the bottom almost kind of caramelize, but they don't. So it gives it a lot of flavor. That's the whole idea. Building flavor in one pot. So we're going to put these off to the side. Under here is good. And we're going to take a little basil. if you must use these, just about one. And I like to sprinkle it around, get it all in there. You don't want it in one place. You ever have a clump of basil in your mouth? It's not pleasant, unless you like basil. I guess you would. So then next, always, is salt and pepper. I have to rinse my hands. I can't have that on my hands while I'm doing this. Okay, so salt and pepper is the mainstay. Every single kitchen should have salt and pepper. Even if it's the no sodium salt, I use Mediterranean sea salt, doesn't matter what type. I also use pink Himalayan. If you like a light flavor of salt, pink Himalayan is amazing. Really amazing. You just like lick it right off your hand. Not while you're cooking, but you know. Okay, so now I like a little more pepper than most people. Put what you like in there. That's why I don't believe in, oh, I'm gonna write this recipe and you're gonna follow it exact. It's not gonna taste the same no matter what. Because my teaspoon may be a little higher than your teaspoon. So it really doesn't matter. Do it the way you want it. Next, chives. Did I mention I like onions? Yeah, I really like onions. And they're really good for you too. They're very good for building the blood, I've been told. Cilantro, leaves. Yeah, we're gonna put parsley in, but cilantro's a little sweeter. It helps to build the flavor. What we're doing right now is building flavors, like I said, in the pot. A little parsley, I'm not a big parsley fan, because to me, parsley tastes like grass. I mean, like grass that grows on your front lawn. It doesn't taste all that great. So, next, the last two crazy ingredients, yes, that I put in beef stew. Okay, this is so far from grandma's beef stew at this point, I'm sure. We started out with the basics, but we're just getting a little crazy now. I like cumin. If you don't like cumin, don't put it in. That'd be a good point, right? So, come on. Cumin's not easy to get at. It's shy. So just a little cumin. That's what I call a sprinkle. See, a dash is when you go like this, and a sprinkle is a traveling dash. It travels. Get it? Easy. Easy to remember. Now this has a cute little top. I wish that one did. And just sprinkle. And what is this, you may ask? Smoked paprika. The most amazing thing I have found in a long time. On top of deviled eggs, this kicks you in the head. It's awesome. It's delicious. I don't mean spicy. I mean taste. It pow comes out. Okay. Now the last ingredient you're going to put in is this. Red wine vinegar. I do not believe in adding extra beef to beef. There's no reason in my head. Where'd my, there it is. Ah. You only put about 1/4 cup right on top, and then you're gonna put a 1/2 cup of water. You have got to put a 1/2 cup of water, otherwise, well actually, you know what, tonight we're gonna use a whole cup. Why not? Doesn't really matter, it's just gonna make more gravy later. Okay. Now we're done with the red wine vinegar, and by the way, this is red wine, real Italian red wine, turned into vinegar. Delicious. Yay. If you could smell it in here, it smells like liquor. Okay, now, cilantro hot sauce. It's not really hot. It's really flavorful. It has a lot of flavor in a tiny little drop. So we're not gonna put that much in there. Believe me, it's not gonna be spicy killing you, burning your eyes. It's gonna be, there's a little heat in there. I like that. So, cilantro. It's like Hank's sauce. Really good. If you can, grab a bottle. Okay, now everything's in there that needs to be in there right now. Later, we're gonna use the arrowroot, and I'll show you how to do that. That's a thickening agent. Yeah, it makes the gravy. Okay, now we're taking the top, we're taking the little line, and we're lining it up with the other little line. Okay? Little line goes this way, little line goes this way. Okay, there you go. Push down a little. You don't really have to, because the minute you go like this, it seals. Now, push the purple up. Hey, see? If it's like this, the purple won't go up. So you go like this, push the purple up. Now you take the little knob on the top that we spoke of earlier and put it to the top. That means the pot is closed. I cannot open the pot. It's sealed. It's safe. Now it goes goes on the stove and you put it on. I like to use medium to high heat because I don't know, bored. I want it done fast. It's not lighting. Okay, so now we have a medium heat. You throw it on. It says high right now, but we're gonna put it down to about, well, leave it on 5. I like it to get there fast. You can even, you know what? We'll leave it on high. It'll bring it up faster. What I mean by bring it up, it's gonna make it start hissing. The water inside has to start boiling first in order for it to start to work. You know that it's starting to work. You know the hissing is real, so to speak, when the little yellow dot on top rises up. It actually does. It pops right out. We're not going to talk about that. So, once the little yellow thing pops up, we know that time has started. Once it starts hissing and time has started, set your alarm for 16 minutes. 16. Now, you can take it off at 15 if you like your vegetables not so soft. The meat will still be tender. 1 minute is not going to make a huge difference. I just find that I like it the way it comes out at 16. Like I said, you can play with it. Some people like it at 14 minutes because they like to, I'm not saying chew bubble gum, but they like to chew a little. Me, I'm lazy. I just want to scoff it down and go. So, there we go. Now, while that's getting up to speed, what we're going to do is, I have a pot all set with water, so I can boil it for noodles. I bought no yolks dumpling noodles. I love them. They're like flippy and they're about that big. They're great. So we're going to boil that water too. And then, I love this pot. All you have to do is take it out and it already strains itself. Who thinks of these things? Bored women at home, I'll bet. And there you go. So we're going to have the noodles. We're going to have the beef stew. And at the end, we're going to finish off the beef stew. I have some peas. I like frozen peas. Hey, those of you might like cans. Who cares? Peas are peas, whatever. But I like about a handful of peas to go in there. That's about half the box if you're steaming them. I steam mine in the microwave. Throw in a little water, put a top on, throw it in the microwave, 5 minutes, stir, 5 minutes, out, done. Okay. It's quick, it's simple, it's painless. For me and the pig. So then you take about a handful of peas at the end, throw it in. You're going to take, I have a slotted spoon. Well, actually, mine has dots, but whatever. You take your spoon, and you're going to pull all the meat out. I bet you can't wait till we get to that point, can you? Me either. All right. Here we are at the end of the cooking session, and the little yellow guy is about to go down. It was hissing really loud. Now I'm going to let the steam out, so it's going to be super loud. But watch that little yellow guy when you let the steam out. All of a sudden, he's just going to sink back into his little seat, and then you know it's safe. It's still going to be safe anyway, because the hissing is going to end. You always want to make sure that you aim it towards the back wall, not at yourself. It takes a few minutes, but as you can hear, the hissing is lessening. This is the process. Any minute now. That's it. Make a liar out of me now. It will, though. It'll go down really quick. As you can see, all the steam is coming out. You don't want to put your hand over there because you will get burned. It's almost like if you're in South Beach and you're watching the lights go on the bridge, you never actually see the lights go on. 1 minute they're off, the next second they're on. Well, this is what this is like. If we keep watching, it's just going to happen and we're going to miss it. So that's why I'm like, don't take your eyes off the yellow button. So how do you keep an idiot busy for about 5 minutes? Tell them to watch the little yellow button, obviously. But it's a lesson you have to learn if you're going to use the pressure cooker. So, come on, little guy. You can do it. It's like Groundhog Day, for Christ's sake. We're watching Groundhog. Did he see a shadow? Is it winter yet? Or is it spring yet, actually? Oh my gosh, this is like watching paint dry. Come on. Steaming. Come on. There's almost steam. Come on. Ha! See that? Did you see it? It disappeared. Now we can open it.
Okay.
Okay. I would suggest, even though this is not hot and this is not hot, I still would suggest using mitts. I don't want anyone to get hurt at all, ever. Well, not because of me, anyway. Okay. Now your steam is released, your little button's down, so now the purple button can go back, and you can slide open the pot, and you can lift it off. Never lift it off towards your face. That would be bad. Okay. Ah, it smells so good. We're just gonna get a pot out, and we're gonna lift everything out. Now I'm gonna tilt it so you can see what it looks like.
Say that.
Doesn't that look good? All different flavors. The steam giving me a wonderful facial. Fun! Doesn't that look delicious? And you see all the juice, right? That's gonna be made into gravy in a minute. Okay. All this can go on here. Believe it or not, I'll make it fit. You just want to use your slotted spoon and lift everything out. Drain as much liquid out as possible because that's going to be your gravy. And me personally, that's the part of the beef stew I like the most, is the gravy. You sit there with a nice chunk of bread, slathered in butter, my mouth's watering, dunking it, and then I eat the stew. But first, I dunk. I'm a dunker. Ready you want? Now, you gotta be pretty good at this. I'm accident prone, so if it goes flying across the floor, you'll know why. Yeah, see, accident prone people can use a pressure cooker. I'm a perfect example. Okay, we'll just leave that there. Now we're gonna return the liquid, there's some solids. We're gonna return it to the stove. Excuse me. So, once you return it to the stove, I would suggest pushing any solids that are on the sides down because you really don't want it sticking to the side and burning. That would be disgusting. So, you turn it back on and you're going to heat it until it's boiling. Not simmering. Boiling. Yeah. Got that action down? Now, a tablespoon of arrowroot. 1 tablespoon. Yes, it's heart-shaped. Isn't that cute? Thanks, Mom. Okay. It doesn't fit. No, it fits. So you take a tablespoon and mix it in with, like, I would say 1/4 cup of water. I eyeball everything. Yeah, what can I tell you? Mix it, mix it, mix it, mix it, mix it, mix it. You want it so it looks like milk. It really does. Look, I'm not joking. All right, maybe not whole milk. Fat-free milk. But once it mixes in, it's just like using cornstarch, only with cornstarch you have to cook out the flavor a little. Well, it'll thicken at the same period of time, but arrowroot has absolutely no taste. That's why I like arrowroot. And you can get the little bottles of arrowroot in any store in the spice aisle, and it's about $6. I get these at other places, like Spice Vendors Online is great. That's not the name, just go online and type Spice Vendors online. You'll find someone. All right, I get mine from Marshall's Creek, okay? And it's like $2.50 for this, $2.50, $5 at the most. It's worth it. Okay, we're boiling. See, I can talk long enough to boil. Okay, boil, and then you take it, and you're just gonna pour it around the inside. See? Voila! Now you stir to thicken it. That's it. It's not rocket science, okay? You can thicken sauce, trust me. And as you can see, it's only like not even a minute, and it's thickened. It's perfect. actually boil for the noodles, and we could serve everything. What I like to do is throw everything back in the pot with the gravy. This way, if there's any liquid left, it absorbs in. Turn it off, stir everything together. Voila, you're done. Now you want the noodles, and we're gonna put the noodles in the plate. We're gonna put the gravy and the sauce and the meat and everything all together, and then I'm gonna show you. Okay, so now we're finally done. The noodles are cooked, the stew is cooked. All in all, let's say from start to finish, everything all together, you could probably do it in about a half hour. Okay, without all the gabbing and the, oh, do you do this? Oh, this is how you do that. When you're just doing it, it's about a half hour from start to finish. So, now we have the noodles, and we're gonna plate. I don't like cooking the noodles to death, because why would you have mush on top of mush on top of, no. You want some texture in there, like al dente, you know? Al, I don't know him, but you know. So, put the noodles down first. I always like to put everything on top of the noodles. It's just my preference. Hey, you want to mix it all up in a pot? Go right ahead. That works too. I just like to let people mix it themselves. I don't know. It's pretty a presentation too. All right. Get over there, you. Stray noodle. Running away. No, don't pick me. Anyway. Okay. Now you take a nice scoopful and lay it on top. Look at that. Come on. Come on. And let me tell you, the meat falls apart. You could eat this with a soup spoon. You really could. I usually do. It's actually a running joke in my house that we come from the lands of the giant spoons. Because if I showed you the size of my soup spoon, you would crack up. I could probably use this. So you want to take a little of the juice and put it in. Gravy, whatever you want to call it. Yeah, that's the other thing. There's been a huge debate for the last couple of weeks since I've been talking about this show. And it seems a lot of Italians prefer red sauce in their beef stew. My grandmother, well actually her whole family, they were Hungarian, German. There's no red in our stew. So, sorry. But if you wanted to, you could take a tomato and chop it up. Take out the seeds. You really don't want seeds because they're bitter. And you're probably going to want to blanch them first, which means boil water, make an X on the bottom of your tomato, throw it in the water for a couple of minutes while it's boiling, then you take them out and put them in ice water, and you'll peel the skin right off. Instead of getting those little curls of skin and everything, that's kind of gross. So you could do it that way. And then put the pulp in when you put the celery and the carrots and the peppers, that's when you would put it in. And it would give a little more of a redder gravy. If that's what you prefer. It's all what you prefer. Remember, cooking's an adventure, so let's go. Let's have our adventure. This has been Denise, cooking, or cooking with Denise, however you want to say it. Now, at the end of this program, which we're basically there, we're just going to eat now. You don't get to. Sorry. If you had your own, you could. But you'll be seeing at the bottom, or across the middle, wherever my producer decides to put it, will be my email address. You can email me if you have a recipe that you want, one of Grandma's recipes that you want made modern, lower in fat, lower in salt, higher in taste, a faster way to do it, whatever. Email me the recipe. I will develop it for you. And you never know, maybe your recipe will be on the show. If you have any questions, email me. I will be checking them. Don't expect an answer in a week. That doesn't happen. Anyhow, remember, cooking is an adventure, so let's go. That's it.